We're live now, so whatever you people say will be recorded. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Shabbat shalom. I'm just saying.
Robin thought she was on today. Should I go?
It's not on the calendar.
Yes.
Right. You know what? I'm just prepared every week.
Just be prepared every week. Yes.
You're on next week?
I'm on next week.
No, he's on next week.
The
And then I'm
following
on the
2
two
weeks
after.
after that, I'm off.
22nd and the 29th, is that correct?
No.
Why not?
22nd you're on.
Yeah.
Wait,
Uh-huh.
today's the 7th. Oh, 14.
22nd you're on.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
29th you're on.
22,
29 and then August something.
29 and 5th.
Yes.
August.
29 and 5th you're on.
Right.
Yeah.
It is written on my calendar.
I got it right here. I got it right here. And then I sent you that random March date.
Oh, I've got my
It's
paper.
her.
Not the paperwork? Oh, gee. Not the paper. That's another call.
Oh, I have a date in May for you if you want it.
In May, yeah, no, I don't even know if I can do the March one yet. Is
I
that
know.
spring break?
I don't think so.
Because if it's spring break, you guarantee me they're going to Israel. And I probably won't go away
We-
for spring.
We are.
because
It's happening. It's happening. I actually had a follow-up conversation with the tour company and with the senior minister next door. They're all in. They're all in. All we have to do, which we should be able to do, is get 15 people from our congregation to go on this trip. 15 people,
Or through our congregation.
or through our congregation.
Right, like my girlfriend who wants to see the trip.
That's
from a
totally fine.
Christian perspective
Totally fine.
would,
That's
you know,
part of
me.
that'd be part of
That's
our
us,
that's
right,
part
it's
of our
15.
that's part of our 15.
Right.
So we just have to have literally 15 people, because they're going to have 15 people, and he already said he has 15 people because he mentioned it to them, and they're already like ready to sign up. The second the sign up goes up, they're going to sign up for it.
Security alarm went off at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they called my cell phone, which is off. And since I didn't pick it up, they sent the police.
Oh,
Everybody's coming. Oh, yeah.
Everyone's coming. All right. Oh, yeah. All right. This is working with our new fancy white screen.
I need like a suggestion or two for what I'm discussing in coffee conversation.
Oh, we'll look at the Torah portion. I also have a couple of things to go over with you today, because I'm not going to see you for the week. One of them is bar and bat mitzvah stuff. So I think that we should try to include a couple of previous b'nai mitzvah and high holidays. So can you and Joanna go through the previous year of kids and maybe, yeah, or something, and find maybe 10 kids at minimum who you think would be pretty solid, particularly if they came back. Like some of those kids came back, so maybe talk to, maybe get the information also from Miriam. Miriam will know who came back. So, but based on Miriam's list and on Joanna's list, but I think we should contact them soon. So that's one. I have the list. So before you go today, I have like 3 things. I want to make sure that what's his name is set. The cello guy. What's his name? Yeah. I have that on my notes. Yes. Yeah. I want to make sure that he's set.
I always take care of that.
Okay.
Darren and Yassi too.
Darren and Yasa and the cello guy. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Welcome back.
Very nice.
Yeah, okay, leave it blank, yeah, I'm back tomorrow, I'll get you next week.
Are you Shabbat 1 or Shabbat 2?
I'm going to get
Nice.
Aren't
Square and circle?
Last year you had an aliyah. Did you chant?
Nope.
But you had an aliyah. So can I?
That's why I didn't get them on these, actually. Because I only really need them when I'm in the car. So instead I got prescription sunglasses. Yeah. Or, yeah, when I go out, yeah. What? What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm in the same boat where like I can get a new pair of glasses or whatever but I already have glasses, and so I was like, oh, maybe I'll do the prescription one. Absolutely. Everybody says that these are good transitions or don't. No, because what he just said, in the transitions, they don't transition in your car. So if they don't transition in your car, isn't that when you like need them the most? Like, so, yeah. So I just got a.
Hi, everyone.
Same
Shabbat
pair,
shalom.
Same pair, just fully tinted. That's it. And I just. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
It's nice to look at everyone. Everyone's kind of back. This is the first round of being back, and it's fun, and everyone's here. It's nice. Hello to everyone here live. Hello to everyone on our live stream. We think it's working. It did a fancy update, so our screen looks nice for our.
Am I still in a cave?
Yes,
I
you are
am.
still in the cave. Yes, we still have a interesting. We have a interesting reverb issue. It sounds like you're at a concert. It's fine. It sounds like you're at a Shabbat concert. I think that's possible to have one of those. I guess you can have a Shabbat concert with everything unplugged.
Is that better?
Yeah. Oh, no more no more. Welcome Chicago, 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 Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. Yeah, he should be a sound engineer.
It's my minor.
Yeah. So hope you had a lovely start to Shabbat, and we're gonna dive into our morning service, and then into our Torah discussion of a very fascinating Torah portion called Pinchas. So Pinchas is a very interesting Torah portion. So we're going to jump right in. Little Modeh Ani 170.
Modeh ani lefanecha, melecha evekayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla, bechemla, Rabba emunatecha, Modeh ani lefanecha, Melecha evekayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla, bechemla, Rabba emunatecha, Rabba emunatecha.
Nisim b'choyom, our daily blessings and miracles, 175.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasach v'bina lehavchin ben yom u'ben layla.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam atir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin metzadei gaver.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam albish harumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam anoten layaev koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir shena me'inai utnuma me'afapai.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani ben chori.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני ישראל.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozei Yisrael b'gvura.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen.
I really did. Because I needed some, and he needs a little ayef koach today. So yeah, I did last week, and I can't believe last week I was still just got from Israel. God, it's crazy. And now he needs a little lef koach because he's a little jet lagged, but it's okay. A little. It's all right.
Better today.
It's better today. All right.
I don't remember last night, but that's okay.
Great, since we led a whole service and people were here and stuff, so that's fine. Whatever. You were singing.
Okay, if
Yeah,
you
you
say
sang.
so.
Let's do a little Elu Devarim, 180.
Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, ve'elu hein. Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, ve'elu hein. Kibud avayim ugmilut chasadim vehashkamat beit hamidrash shacharit ve'arvit vehachnasat orchim uvikur cholim vehachnasat kala ulvayat hamet. Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, ve'elu hein. Ve'iyun tefila v'hava'at shalom bein adam lachavero ve'talmud Torah k'neged kulam. Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, ve'elu hein. Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur, Elu devarim shein lahem shiur,
ve'elu hein.
Just a little jet lag,
Yeah, I
right?
was a little behind on that one.
So that's all right.
Behind on that one. I got the first one, not the second one. That's good.
His part? V'talmud Torah, v'talmud Torah k'neged kulam, v'talmud Torah.
That's the last line.
K'neged kulam. Yeah, he just repeats.
Because
it.
there's the idea that the Talmud Torah K'neged Kulam is, because what does that mean? It means that the study of Torah encompasses all of them, right? So there's a whole list of things that you're supposed to be doing.
So I'm still singing the list, and he's like, oh.
And I'm singing and reminding you that even though the list is going on, Talmud Torah is, if you do that, then you encompass everything that's on the list because you're studying Torah. So that's the idea of the thing. All right, there you go. Nice. Yeah. So that's the whole idea. So, and that repeating. Did you do the repeating thing? Did you ever do that before? The repeating thing? Because
I've done it with other people.
yeah. Because
I obviously can't do both.
why not?
Yeah. I'm not that wonderful.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's continue Psukei Zimra, 183.
Baruch she'amar ve'yaolam.
Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu sevreshit.
Baruch Hu me'avoseh.
Baruch Hu zerem kayem.
Baruch me'achem al haaretz.
Baruch merachem al habriot.
Baruch meshalem sachar tov l'reyav.
Baruch chaylad v'kayam lanetzach.
Baruch podeh matzil. Baruch shemo.
Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be.
Blessed is the one.
Blessed is the one who continually authors creation.
Blessed is one whose word is deep.
Blessed is the one who decrees and fulfills.
Blessed is the one whose compassionate towards the world.
Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards all creatures.
Blessed is one who roars the reverent.
Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring.
Blessed is one who redeems and saves. Blessed is God's name.
Baruch atah Adonai, Melech melech
Batishbachot. We continue Shochen Ad, middle of page 192.
שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו וכתוב רננו צדיקים אדוני לישרים נאווה תהילה בפי ישרים תתהלל ובדברי צדיקים תתברך ובלשון חסדים תתרומם ובקרב קדושים תתקדש ובמקהלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול בתשבחות אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות הבוחר בשירי זמרה מלך אלכי העולמים יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא תברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמי המאיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה בין כל מרחתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ואמרו
Amen. The Baruch Hu 195.
Lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור וחושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Please be seated. We continue Ahava Rabbah 198.
אהבה רבה אהבתנו אדוני אלוהינו חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו בעבור אבותינו ואימותינו שבטחו בך ותלמדם חוקי חיים והארנו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחל לבבינו לאהבה ולראות את שמך ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו נגילה ונשמחה נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בצל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Our song of redemption, Micha Mocha 204.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך אספת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתחנו ממך יהודה וישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amidah begins 205.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, v'Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel, v'Elokei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת צרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים מחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Continue with the Kedusha 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue silently now, beginning here on page 210 through page 219. When you're finished, please be seated.
Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barchenu yotzreinu kulanu kechad beor panecha. Ki beor panecha natat lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torat Chaim ve'avat chesed u'tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. V'tov meinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol eit v'chol sha'a bishlomecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the Shabbat, the service for reading the Torah on Shabbat morning, page 244.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'hador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam ha'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim heitiv havitzoncha et Zion. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki v'chal levad batachnu, melech elam v'nisa, Adon olamim.
246.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah,
Le'amo Yisrael midushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai HaGedula VeHaGevura VeHaTiferet VeHaNetzach VeHaHod. Ki chol bashamayim uvaretz, chol bashamayim uvaretz, lecha Adonai hamamlacha, ve'amitnaseh lechol rosh. Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, vehishtachavu, vehishtachavu, ladom raglav kadoshu. Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, vehishtachavu, vehishtachavu, lehar kodsho, ki kadosh, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Please be seated. Do you want to do the Torah first? We are going to be chanting from the Torah portion called Pinchas.
As soon as I find it.
Pinchas. Pinchas is Numbers 25:10. Numbers 25:10. Pinchas. Chapter 25, verse 10. Pinchas. I don't do page numbers. I don't do page numbers. We leave Harry for that. I said I don't do page numbers. I thought we have Harry. 25:10. Chapter 25, verse 10. 25:10. 25:10. Did you find it?
Mm-hmm.
25:10. 074. 25:10. Yes. Oh, yes. Good call. So, I have 4 different translations, if you want. Ian has called the Women's Torah Commentary.
It's an interesting one to have.
It is. Anyone want an alternative translation today? No pressure. Yes, which one would you like? Well, he's. No. Oh, well, you guys have to fight for it.
She wins. She made a
All right.
fight. She wins.
I think Martha takes you.
You want the Quran? All right. I have Etz Chaim, which is the conservative movement, and
Boring.
and I have the most interesting translation probably is Everett Fox. So, all right.
Why don't you have a Hirsch?
Yeah, the Hirsch and the Etz Chaim are very similar.
Yeah,
So they're almost very similar in everything. All right. So you're getting that. You're getting the thing. And no one wants Etz Chaim today. It's fine. He won't be upset. They'll be fine. All right. So you getting one? No. Okay. She's getting one for a commentary. You're gonna get Everett Fox, and you're getting the Quran. It's not the Quran. It's the Koran. That's the. Just to be clear, for those who were thinking I actually was handing out the Quran, it's not happening. So, all right, who would like to do the Aliyah? Anyone want to do the Aliyah this morning? All right, please. Yay. I don't know why this table is here. I have no idea why
that's much better.
Well, it's closer. You flip the thing. There you go. Come on up. Ta'amod.
Fegadina bat
Figadina bat.
Meir Mordechai.
Meir Mordechai ve.
Are you sure?
Yes, be.
Yes, be Torah. 250 if you follow along
Do you
with
need
the
the blessings?
blessings.
Do you have
250.
them?
250. We also have them. They're right here. We also have them right here.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Amarach Le'olam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bocha Bonu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen Heshiv et chamati me'ah bnei Yisrael bekan'o et kinati betocham velo chiliti et bnei Yisrael bekinati lachein emor hineni noten lo et briti shalom v'haita lo uzaro acharav berit kehunat olam tachat asher kinei le'elahav vechaper al bnei Yisrael v'shem ish Yisrael hamuke asher huka et hamidyanit Zimri ben Salu nesivet ab lashim oni v'shem haisha hamuka hamidyanit kezavivat tzur Rosh umat beit av b'midyan hu.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Haolam Davidoteinu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. We're going to lift and dress the Torah. Do we have we want some lift and who's going to come up and do the lifting and the dressing? Please stand.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Turned off again.
Well done, Yeshua.
That was a good throw.
I want candy. Who wants some Shabbat candy? Shabbat candy? I got it, Ron. Don't worry about it. Shabbat candy? Anyone else want some Shabbat candy? Shabbat candy? Yeah. Oops. Oh, all right. Anyone else?
Honey sticks and bitter honey.
I know. Anyone? Shabbat candy? That was pretty good. Short. Short. Here, have one. Still short. There you go. Better. That was better.
Try overhand.
No, that's you do. You do the overhand. You do Yeah, it's so long. All right. Oh, thank you. Under the table.
Secret what goes on under the table.
All right, friends. We're gonna talk about Pinchas, but we're gonna go a little backwards. So now that you are comfortably sitting where you are in the Torah for the Torah portion of Pinchas, I want you to go to the end of the previous Torah portion, which was anyone? Anyone last week's Torah portion? Balak. I want you to go. So it was a double portion last week. So it was Chukat Balak. I want you to go back to Balak. It's very easy. I just want you to go to chapter 25. So chapter 25, 1 is where you're going. So it's in Balak. So you have to go back a little into the Torah portion of Balak, but it's 25, 1 is where we're going to start. I don't know. It's 343 in my book. So I don't know. Chapter 25. So even though we're talking about Pinchas, we are going back to Balak for a minute. If you recall the story in Balak, which we did not talk about last week at Torah study. We talked about it last week, Friday night, we talked about Balak, and then in the morning we talked about Chukat. So to refresh our memory, Balak is the Torah portion. He was the king, and he was the Moabite king, and he had to he thought he might have to face the Israelites, and he was nervous because the Israelites were very plentiful, and there were 1.2 million of them, and he thought he would lose if he had to fight them, and so he thought that he would prepare himself better by cursing them. So he figured if they were a cursed people, then he might be able to defeat them. And so he hires a guy named Bilam. That's this cool story from last week about the talking donkey. And so he hires a sorcerer named Bilam, and Bilam then gets on a donkey and rides up the sort of hill, the little mountain, and to oversee all the Israelites and curse them. Except on the way up, an angel stops in front of the donkey, and then Bilam's upset with the donkey and saying, what's wrong with you? And starts to hit on the donkey, and the donkey turns around and speaks because there's an angel there, and the donkey says, why are you hitting me? And so clearly, even though he was a sorcerer himself, he was freaked out because the donkey was talking to him. And so because of that moment, or because of the moment that he personally goes up the top of the hill and sees the Israelites and how peaceful they are, he says, instead of a curse, he says, Ma tovu. So he says the words of Ma tovu, Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, how beautiful and how wonderful are your tents and your dwellings. And so he comes back to Balak, and Balak says, I paid you to curse them, I hear you bless them. So this is ridiculous. So Balak tries something different, which is where we are now. So this is in last week. Does that make sense? So the cursing didn't work because Bilam blesses the Israelites instead of curses the Israelites. And here we are now on chapter 25, verse 1. Okay.
Then Balaam set out on his journey back home, and Balak also went his way. While Israel was staying at Shittim, the menfolk profaned themselves by whoring with the Moabite women, who invited the menfolk to the sacrifices for their God. The menfolk partook of them and worshipped that God. Thus Israel attached itself to Baal Peor, and the Eternal was incensed with Israel. The Eternal One said to Moses, "Take all the ringleaders and have them publicly impaled before the Eternal, so that the Eternal's wrath may turn away from Israel." So Moses said to Israel's officials, "Each of you slay those of his men who attach themselves to Baal Peor."
Okay, so the sorcery doesn't work, so what does Balak do instead?
Entices them with women.
Right, he sends in the women. He sends in all of the women, not just the women, but you can say it's in the Bible, the whores. Yeah. So he sends in all of the whores, and he figures, I'm not gonna like have the Israelites stumble in some way in their preparation for what might be a war through sorcery. I'm going to try this way, because they're going to fall in love with, or they're going to sort of lose themselves, and maybe their religion, which it also says that they kind of detached themselves to Baal Peor, because Baal Peor was the idol worship, the idol worshiping, the center of idol worship there at the time. And so, does it work? Does Balak's plan work? Yeah, it works. So we think we end, by the way, usually for religious school or at Jewish summer camp where these Torah portions are read, we never get to this part. We only end with how great that Bilam, instead of cursing the Israelites, blesses us, and we get Matovu, and everyone's really thrilled, and we do a special Matovu for the kids in the morning, and they're like, yay, we win! Except for we don't read this part, because then Balak's like, okay, let's try this path instead, and it works. Okay, so much so that particularly now we get to verse 6.
Just then, one of the Israelite notables came and brought a Midianite woman over to his companions in the sight of Moses and of the whole Israelite community, who were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting.
Okay, so just then one of the Israelites took a Midianite woman over literally in front of Moses and the whole community, who was already really upset about the whole thing. And now we're on 7.
When Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, and taking a spear in his hand, he followed the Israelite notable into the chamber and stabbed both of them, the Israelite notable and the woman, through the belly. Then the plague against the Israelites was checked. Those who died of the plague numbered 24,000.
Okay, so what do we have here? What do we have here? Well, there's a lot of death at the end, but what do we have prior to that? There's corporal punishment. Why though? Exactly. He did the ultimate of the ultimate, and not only did he decide to have sex with the Moabite, he did it where? In front of the tent of meeting, in front of Moses, to spite him and the whole situation and all of this that's been going on so far. Yes. Yes. What does he say? In their private parts, yes. In her private parts, yes. So Everett Fox has a whole different world of translation than anyone else does. Yes. So, right. So, and even if you go into the softer version, it says in verse 8, he followed the Israelite into the chamber and stabbed both of them, the Israelite and the woman, through the belly. So, you can also visualize how could one spear go through the belly for both of them. They had to have been together, right? There's no other way to have done that. You can't picture that any other way, right? There are no kids here, so we can have this conversation, right? So maybe they were dancing, because that's what I hear, that you can't, it leads to dancing, right? That's the old joke. So, right, so what does he do? He takes the spear and he rams it through both of them. And then what happens when he does? This is the end of 8. The plague ends. So what does that tell us about his action? It was righteous. Yeah. He's a priest. Yes. He is carrying out, at least in his mind, or in this situation, he's carrying out the priest's duty in this situation. He is a priest. it's sacred duty, and we can decide whether it was a profane or not profane way. He might have thought it was a holy, sacred thing that he was doing, because he was, what's that? Oh, he was jealous. Yeah. It's a whole other commentary for some other time. What? Well, no, because there's no altar, there's no system. It's literally a spear. And by the way, what does this tell you about his temperament or the moment, right? What does this tell you about Pinchas in general? It's a moment of rage, right? And by the way, he's obviously sitting there because he is a priest. So he's sitting there and he gets to see what's happening. He gets to see the Israelite. He gets to see him take the Midianite woman. He gets to see them begin to have sex or start to have sex. And so literally in this space. And so he takes the spear and follows them to wherever they go to continue sex or whatever they're doing, and then he rams them with the spear. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, if you want to take the action out of it a little bit more, of the sort of this very rough, difficult action, then if you go back to the second half of verse 2, right, it says that the people partook of them and worshiped that God. So they were separating themselves, and maybe that's why Pinchas was so frustrated, that it was more of a turning away. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, go ahead.
So it says it was the end of a plague, and the plague, people numbered, those who died numbered 24,000.
Yes.
Is this plague the result of impaling people?
Yeah. It was because it was the beginning of the section where God says, take all the ringleaders and have them publicly impaled before. So yeah, so all of the people who partook in this were worshiping another god other than God. So 24,000 people. Yeah. Well, you're 4. Okay, who's you're 2? Go ahead.
Well, since we opened up that can of worms, like in researching this as well, Baal was the main Mesopotamian god.
Yeah.
Time, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a trying to out with the olds, right? So I think that the Israelite people going back, if they were just going to go into the promised land and Canaan and start worshiping the Canaanite god,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden all of this was for nothing. So I think that this is like a trying to. I mean, we have several of these ways of getting out the bad apples, but this seems to be enough, because this is the only time the ball shows up, right?
Right.
And each time it does, there's this mass extinction event.
Yes. And by the way, to fast forward, not for us to have the major conversation, but who is a Moabite that eventually is very important to us? Ruth, right? So Ruth is a Moabite. So the farther descent down the line from this mess clearly gets figured out slightly because we love Ruth. So we need Ruth. So yeah, Dr. Bob.
Well, first of all, it's a real clear demonstration of just how powerful the Yetzer Hara is and how easy it is to succumb to it.
Excellent. Yep. Yes.
One of the Noah items, way back when, is establishing courts of justice, which means somebody comes in a formal court setting to declare whether people are guilty or not and whether people should be punished and what the punishment should be. Now we've got a guy deciding all on his own to just be judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
And we've got those people with us today.
Yeah.
And it's probably the most dangerous and self-righteous killer. It's probably the most dangerous one of all.
Absolutely, because righteousness can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, right? Yeah, it's a great interpretation, because justice and righteousness sounds really lovely to us because we're normal-minded people, but, well, I'll speak for all of you. But if you feel like justice is something different, then you act in a way that you feel like you should act justly and righteously, and he takes it upon himself because this is what he feels, and he kills them. I mean, he doesn't kill them; he murders them, right? So it's certainly murder. It's not killing, although not for him, which is with the nuance. Not for him. For him, it's not. For him, it's not killing or murder. Exactly. That's where the danger lies. That's why it's an excellent point. Very, very nice. Yes. That they come from what? Yes. Yes. We'll find out their names in this week's Torah portion. Yeah, because we don't know their names, but we will know. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Right. But the rabbis, don't worry, the rabbis find a way to convert her in the system, and she's all filtered. So it's all fine. Yes, but that's a whole other conversation for some other time. So yeah, yes.
I just find it so frustrating that after Parsha, the Israelites they do bad things constantly.
The book of Numbers, if you remember from our first conversation when we started the book of Numbers, is a unbelievably complicated Torah portion, and there's a reason why. I don't like the word numbers for the translation. I have no control over that now because the book is called Numbers. But I prefer the Hebrew translation, which is Bemidbar, because it's sort of in the wilderness, because they spend this whole book, I think, lost. I think the Israelites are not, they're figuring out what to do, and so this clearly, they're still working on it. So even though 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they only were wandering in the desert for 2.5 years. Then we find out 2.5 weeks ago, because when the spies come back, they get the 40 years, which we're way into. They're almost at the end. They still haven't figured it out. And by the way, they won't figure it out when the Torah ends, because we go into Joshua and they still don't get it. And then they still don't get it after Joshua, because we go to the Judges and the Judges don't get it. And when Samuel tries to make kings, and Samuel and the kings don't get it. It's not until the prophets that we slightly start to get what's going on when we get to the prophets. Slightly. But even that's difficult, because the prophets are yelling at us too, because they tell us that we're vain and that we don't give enough, that we don't care enough about society, we don't give tzedakah, which, by the way, is probably not incorrect. So the prophets are difficult, but we don't get it right for a long time, hundreds of years. We don't get it right. We're probably still not doing it right. Yes. Yeah, Fox is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, he did the right thing. According to him and to the system, he does the right thing. Yeah. Probably. I don't know. I mean, yeah, probably. It's a great question. It's probably like an ultra-Orthodox commentary, because ultra-Orthodox commentaries love numbers and percentages, so there's probably an ultra-Orthodox commentary that explains exactly why that number is chosen and not 23,000 or 24,500. There's probably an explanation for it. Yeah. We also don't know, but that stuff is ultra-Orthodox usually really want to know the numbers and stuff. It's possible. Well, it's also possible the book is called Numbers because there are numbers everywhere. Because there's a census. There's a census in this week's Torah portion. There's a census all the time. So now that we know what we know about Pinchas, let's go to Pinchas. So all right. So now let's go to 25:10. Let's go to this week's Torah portion. So now your blood's boiling a little bit because you know about Pinchas, and we have to figure out what the situation is. Here's Pinchas. He gets his own Torah portion. Is called Pinchas. By the way. In years where Torah portions get coupled, which is this year. So last week, as you recall, Torah portions were coupled. We had Chukat and Balak last week. This is Pinchas, and next week is a couple again, and it's Matot Maseh. No matter, so forever and ever and ever, if there are ever years where Torah portions get coupled, Pinchas will never be coupled. And the commentary says, because of the type of person that he was and the type of zealot that he was never coupled with any other Torah portions. He's always by himself. So even in the years where they get coupled, he's always by himself. Even when there are two couples before him of Torah portions and two couples after him of Torah portions, there's never a coupling for him because it's Pinchas. Yeah. What, is he on there? You jump in. Rabbi Silvers, hi. Where are you, in Minnesota?
I'm in Minnesota.
Hi. Hi, Rabbi Silvers.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Tell us. Yes.
So it's like when you want to know if Pinchas is right or what he's doing, it's like God sending a message to Pinchas.
That it's right. That what he did was right. Yeah.
It seems that these were approved actions by God because Pinchas is God's mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So what Rabbi Silver said is that it's quiet. Can you make it louder? I don't know why it's usually there's a volume over there. It's usually louder. No, that's isn't there volume on this thing? Oh, here, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Say something again, Rabbi Silvers.
You're looking good, Rabbi.
Oh, that's wow. No, go on. Go on. Yes. Oh, please. Yes.
I said the Hebrew word for Pinchas means like oracle. That this represents God's words to the Israelites. That what Pinchas did is indeed meritorious, is righteous, as you said. This is approved by God. So there's never a question about whether or not what Pinchas was doing is defying God's will of killing. Here, this is kind of like it has God's stamp of approval.
Mm-hmm.
Pinchas is the mouthpiece of God.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Torah is saying. I mean, that's what the Torah is saying. There's no reason why why else would the plague be stopped immediately? I mean, the second he thrust the spear through those two people, it stopped. The plague starts because when? Probably just prior to the whole mess with the Midianite women, just before that. So yeah. Thanks, Rabbi Silvers. How is Minnesota? Is it cooler there?
God, it's gorgeous.
All right. Okay, good. Yeah, it's gorgeous here too. By the way, it's like 70 degrees. There's no humidity. It's been really beautiful the last couple of days. Whoa, no. All right. So now we're actually on Pinchas. Please take it away.
The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, has turned back my wrath from the Israelites by displaying among them his passion for me, so that I did not wipe out the Israelite people in my passion. Say, therefore, I grant him my pact of friendship.
Okay. So this is how Pinchas starts. How do you feel about it? How do you feel that God says to Moses, Pinchas, by the way, and here's the lineage, so make sure you know who Pinchas is, the significance, right? Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron. So how close are we? Oh, this is close. This is a good one. He's a big deal, right? The priest has turned back my wrath from the Israelites by displaying among them his passion for me, so that I did not wipe you all out. You should be thankful to him that I didn't wipe you all out because of that. So therefore, I grant him, God is saying, my pact of friendship. How do you feel about this? Yeah, well, peace. Peace or friendship, yeah. How are you feeling about this?
So here's my thing. If God wipes out the Israelite people, there's no one left to worship God.
right? Which is often Moses' point, by the way. Right? So whenever God gets upset and says, oh, I'm tired of this, I'm wiping them all out, Moses is like, really? After all this, you're going to wipe them out? We're wandering in the desert and whatever other people, well, the other people is going to think if you do this. Da, 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 da. So yeah, it's a good point because it's always God's. That's always Moses' point to God. Nice. Any other thoughts? Everyone's comfortable with this? That he gets a pact of friendship? Kind of teacher's pet, but sort of like what Rabbi Silver said, and sort of what the text says. This was good. This was right. This was exactly how it was supposed to go. It says so. It says so. The plague got checked, and now we get the backup information. He gets his own Torah portion, by the way. He gets to be the priest, and he gets this pact of shalom that God says, and God says you should thank him because I would have wiped you all out if it wasn't for him. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that God's anger was somehow subsided because of this action, because of Pinchas. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they got. No. Eleazar and Itamar are the ones who are left. It's Nadav and Avihu who were killed in the Esh Zara, in the alien fire. Yes. Interesting. So it is an interesting connection just to Aaron and his descendants because there's this overzealous streak because the other two boys were also overzealous, possibly, if you want to go that way, and they were killed by the alien fire. And then here is Eleazar's son, Pinchas, and he's clearly a zealot, clearly. Korach was also. So just think of, this goes back to what we talked about this is the wilderness. This is Bemidbar. The Israelites are being tested left and right for how they're going to be acting. And by the way, who's also probably troubled by all of this also in the middle of all of this? Moses. So don't forget that Moses is beat up left and right and left on this. Starting from Shlach Lecha, when the spies come back and he's shocked at the reaction, and then Chukat, where he finds out he's not going to be in the promised land, and then Balak last week with the Israelites turning completely away from all the teaching and all the work that he's been doing for all these years, and now this, and now he has to explain the fact that Pinchas just rams the spear through these people. So it's a very murky, very complicated section of text. It's so good, though, right? It's so interesting that this is why I love this book. It's my favorite book. Because also it houses the best Torah portion in the entire Torah, but clearly. But yes. Okay, go on. Okay. It's possible. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay.
There are many sections that also corroborate that, but this just can't be.
Right.
Just can't have guys deciding on their own to,
That's a incredibly thoughtful perspective on this. Yeah, that God's trying to figure this out. Or, yeah, I agree with you. And I also think that is the best possible version, particularly for the Reform movement. If we look at another angle, then maybe it's God allowing us to figure this out on our own. True, right? Well, but maybe that's what God's trying to do. Well,
Most people who tried to figure out on their own ended up like the doll worshippers.
right,
That was the typical thing when people were just left on their own.
right. But it goes back to your point about the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara, right? The good inclination and the bad inclination, right? We're more inclined, unfortunately, towards the Yetzer Hara. It's easier, it's faster, it's more fun, it's enticing, right? It's the Yetzer HaTov that we have to hold on to, right? It's the good angel that we have to hold on to on the shoulder or whatever, however we want to think about this. That's harder to do. It's much harder to do. So maybe this is the larger picture also for us to work on it, which also stinks, by the way, because it's uncomfortable to think about the text this way. Which is why when your statement just a minute ago was that the only way that you can wrap your head around it is to think that it's God also practicing. So, yeah. It's interesting that you say that because even though we have a few minutes, we're probably going to get to that one section, and we're going to see a very interesting statement that's coming from Moses and the relationship between Moses and God. So hold on to that too. That's coming. Yeah.
This may be a weird way of looking at it, but it's sort of like survival of the fittest for people who will follow the Yetzer HaTov.
Uh-huh.
So that those who don't follow it are punished, and then the good ones who do follow it will survive.
Yeah, right. So just to paraphrase that the people who follow the Yetzer HaTov, the good inclination, are the ones who are, let's say, on the right path according to God, and then there are those who are following the Yetzer Hara who are on the wrong path, and so therefore are punished. So, which is an interesting way to look at it, but also I would say a dangerous one, because now I get to decide, or we get to decide about when someone dies or someone is sick or someone is ill, if they're following the good inclination or bad inclination, right? Because there are the horrible statements that come out from the ultra Orthodox community when there are major calamities in the world, for them to say, usually what they say is, those people deserve to die because they weren't following the right path. So easy, done, bye. Right? But that's a lot to deal with. But yes, I agree that that's probably what God's trying to say. That God's trying to remind you to pay attention and follow the rules. Follow the rules. Yeah.
So Bruce texted his audio as well.
Yes.
He said, how does this relate to our behavior today if the zealous actions were deemed
As righteous?
righteous and right? Should such zealous actions be deemed to be correct today? And then Rabbi Silver said, was Pinchas following his good inclination or evil inclination?
Yeah. Okay. So, yes. Inclination. Yeah. Yes. So wait. So the dual questions were if the zealous behavior was rewarded, then should we just be zealots? Because it was rewarded. So should we just be zealots about everything? Because obviously God says, good job. You're supposed to be a zealot. You're supposed to take the spear. If there's, I'm just going to go like totally overboard. If there's a situation that you find to be not in what your purview is to be righteous, should you go to your car, grab your spear, and ram it through someone? This is an oversimplification of the concept, but
I would use this Torah portion
Right, and say, look, Pinchas said that, first of all, Pinchas said to carry a spear, which is fascinating, so I should carry a spear in my car. Well done. In Florida, they might. Yeah, who knows what people are carrying in their cars. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah, this Pinchas wasn't in Florida, clearly. So, yeah. So that's one discussion that we can have. It's true. Like if we're going to use it as the validation statement, then maybe it works for everything. And then Rabbi Silver's followed up with, was Pinchas using his Yetzer Tov or Yetzer Hara? And my answer to that would be, from his perspective, he was using HaYetzer HaTov because he thought that he was doing something righteous. Correct. God also thought that Pinchas was using his good inclination. Yes. And then 1 and 2. Yeah.
I think differently.
You think differently about what? Well, hold on a second. You're number 3, Rabbi Slivers. Hold on. You're number 3, Rabbi Slivers. Hold on. Yeah.
This whole conversation, kudos to Dr. Roth for sparking this in my brain, but it reminds me of the movie A Few Good Men.
Yes.
So like,
Yes.
right, you can't handle the truth.
Yes.
Right, he takes matters into his own hands and kills the young soldier.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is sort of that Yitzhar Tov of like, doing it in a trial in a court of law the right way.
Yeah.
And I think like this conversation is basically Jack Nicholson's character, right?
Yeah.
But they win and lose, right?
Yeah.
So there isn't an all-out win like it is here in this case.
Right. That after they find out that he did it, right? He's done the honor of his stars. But in that scene where he tries to rush at Tom Cruise in the movie, he says, "You don't know what you just did," right? By taking me off of that fence, he said, whatever. He said, I'm saying it in context of Shabbat. He said, by taking me off of that fence, you are now doing something bad for the country because you need me. He said, you need me on that fence. You need me guarding the way that I guard. It was ugly. It was ugly. It was nasty. It was underhanded. He was taking the rules into his own hands. But in that movie, which you clearly can tell I've seen a few times, because I'm quoting directly from that section, maybe. It does. It is. Plus, it's a great movie. So if you've not seen A Few Good Men, after Shabbat, it's a requirement. It's required watching. Not because there's context of Judaism, but because you have to watch that movie. Yes, go ahead. Ron and then Rabbi Silvers. Yeah. No, it's the different root system. So, but yeah, because it's the hay and the resh. Yeah. Rabbi Silvers and then Harry. Yeah.
I was going to say, the reason God gives Pinchas his covenant of peace, his Brit Shalom, is because is got Rahmanas on Pinchas because he did this awful, evil thing. And for somebody to kill another person, or 2 people in this case, God's got to give him his covenant of peace, though, so that Pinchas can live with himself. It's not a reward. It's kind of a consolation for Pinchas having used his Yetzer Hara.
I actually think that Pinchas didn't think that he used his Yetzer Hara. I think Pinchas did what he did knowingly and in what he thought was the functional way in his role. I don't think he needed the pact of peace because he felt good about it. He felt fully righteous about his action to ram the spear through them, I think.
I think you're right, but I think from God's perspective.
Oh, you think God needs it for God's self, you think? God needs it?
I think God looks at it and says, Pinchas did this horrible, difficult thing, and now how's he going to live with himself, so I have to give him this pact of peace.
Oh, see, I don't think he is going to worry about how he's going to live with himself. I think he walked away pretty proud about ramming that spear through those 2. I think.
The added metal of, and look, it's not plague.
And right, and clearly what I did worked because it stopped the plague. Clearly. Right. Although we also know, by the way, that God can stop a situation from happening and then deal with the repercussions of it later. Sort of like hitting the rock, right? Because even though the directions weren't right, water does come out, and then he deals with the repercussions later. Almost like, I'll deal with you later. So in the moment, well, he is not, though. That's the thing. So that's why I think that Pinchas feels perfectly good about what he did because he thinks that it's a righteous act.
I think Pinchas feels good about it. But
Yeah.
I think from God's perspective, he looks at it and says, okay, yes, Pinchas did what needed to be done. So therefore, God could stop the plague anytime he wants, but he doesn't stop it until after Pinchas does his dirty deed. But then God says to himself, how's Pinchas going to live with himself knowing he slaughtered these two people innocently? So God's got to give him this pact of peace.
Interesting.
But that's only assuming.
Right. I don't think that he needs it.
That you think that Pinchas feels guilt.
Right.
I don't think Pinchas feels guilt.
I don't think he feels guilt at all. Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Go ahead. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think it gets checked. Like I think that hypothetically, had he not run the spear through them, it could have been 50,000, 100,000, 300,000. Yeah. Okay. No. Oh. Right, so I think that it's second, because at the top, God says to take the ringleaders and to have them publicly impaled. I think that started. So I think people were getting publicly impaled. It was happening. But, right, I mean, I think it only leads up to 24,000. So that could have been 10,000, 15,000, right? So, yes. And then I think that amidst all of this, even though the decree was said to stop doing it, these two people, the Israelites, right, Cosby and Zimri, they're their names, we'll find out their names. So Cosby and Zimri, amidst the decree of stopping, do it on purpose in front of the tent of meeting, which is why I think Pinchas loses his mind, because the decree is already out there. Everyone should stop doing this, and yet Zimri and Cosby come and sit in front of Moses in the tent of meeting, and that's when he loses it and he thinks, this is ridiculous. You already know that you should be stopping, and you're not stopping. So now I have to take it upon myself and take the spear and kill them. Now here is the flip I want to begin to end with. Take it or leave it. The begin to end. So now, Moses is a murderer, yes? Okay. So there is, however, for the Moses lovers in me, there is because if you look at the text very carefully, before he kills the taskmaster, He said, the text says he looks left and he looks right, and then he kills the taskmaster. So the commentary is that it was premeditated, that is anyone around? Okay, no one's around, now I can murder the taskmaster. The other commentary says, though, which comes from the Mishnah, and says, in a place where there is no one that's a mensch, there's no one to do something good, you have to be that person. So there's a commentary that rescues Moses. It's not my commentary, it's our actual commentary, that says when he looks left and right, it's not premeditated murder, is there no one else on this planet that sees what's going on and the horror that's happening to our people? I have to be able, I can't let this go on anymore, and so he kills the taskmaster. So do we then allow ourselves to use the same thinking and say, take it or leave it, that Pinchas is just overwhelmed by this and says, how is no one else stopping this? How is no one else noticing this horror? I have to be the one to stop this, because otherwise it's going to go on and on and on and on. You don't have to like it. I'm just bringing you the thought, because they're both parallel situations. And by the way, Moses is Moses. Come on, pretty impressive, right? And so is Pinchas. And yet they're both, if we want to put the word on them, the label, they're murderers. And yet they sort of get away with it or are rewarded for it by the situation. So by looking left and right, Moses isn't treacherous. It's, come on, no one's here. And in the same way, when Pinchas does this, he says, how is this possible? None of you see this happening? None of you see this, the Israelites falling apart? I got to fix this. Everyone's dying. I got to fix this. Hypothetically. Throwing it out there. You don't have to like it. It doesn't work in well, hopefully not. It certainly happens, and people also feel like they are murdering or doing something for God or for something that's good, but it's ugly. All right, yes, 1, 2, 3.
Weird question. Any chance that, I guess, the guy in the whore, whatever,
Yes.
kind of sacrificed themselves to prevent, like, knew that they were going to get killed? You know what I mean? And then they thought that the killings would all stop?
I like it. I like it a lot, actually. It's a really cool commentary. I like rabbi school. Yeah. Now there are a lot of you that have to go. So there's. I think it's a really good thing. If you flip on what's his name? She's Cosby, and he's Zimri, right? So maybe Zimri is a hero in the story, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna take one for the team, and I'm gonna do it literally in front of the best possible place where it's going to obviously be seen by everyone, and I'm gonna do it not off in the corner. I'm gonna go in the front of the tent of meeting in front of Moses. I'm gonna do it right here because the likelihood of me being killed is very high, but at least I'm gonna die, and with my death, it will stop. Love it. I love it. It's great. I think it's a cool commentary. I'm not sure that there's a lot of path of people who would agree with it, but I like it a lot. Heck of a way to go. It's like, I take him for the team. Woo! Yeah. So, yes. So, it's a very, 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 very nice angle. Yes.
Where's Pinchas now? Meaning, right, we know what happened to Moses, he murdered when he was set on a path and he communicated with God and, right down the street. So,
Well, he was a priest. He was the high priest. He eventually becomes the high priest. Eventually, and then the next one, and the next one. So yeah.
And he does get to go into Israel.
Yeah. So, interesting Torah portion, and I think that it pushes us into the realm of discussing what's just, what's righteous, what's zealous, and how do we play with all of these terms, particularly in our text. And maybe the key saving net and saving grace comes from what Dr. Bob said earlier, which was that maybe this is just God practicing, and this is how he can deal with it, because otherwise it's too much to handle. It's too much to handle to think that the guy with the spear who kills the 2 people or murders the 2 people gets all the applause. So ancient pornography, yes, yeah, it is, but yeah.
Don't we root for Dexter though? Come on.
Yeah, we root. Although I've never seen it, but I do know. I've never seen one episode of Dexter. But yes. But you root. But you root for Barry. Did you ever see Barry? I mean, you root for Barry. The whole movie you root for Barry, and he's an assassin. He's a hired killer, but you root for Barry. So, ever seen Barry on HBO? Now it's called Max. Really? You have to see it. It's brilliant. It's with Hader. What's his first name? Bill Hader. Oh, it's so good. It's such a brilliant show. Yes. Yes, thank you. And point with the spear. Good job. The whole thing. Good job. Yes. All right. Yes, they're mentioned in this week's Torah portion. We didn't get there, but it's here. That's also possible. Even though she was a Midianite, it's possible that she was the ones who didn't want to partake in this, and she saw the light, and she was the one who took the Israelite. She took Zimri and said, "No, don't do this. Let's together we'll stop it." It's very possible too. Now you're making her the hero. Well, it doesn't actually say that she was. It doesn't say, right? It doesn't say that she was one of the whores. It just says that she was a Midianite woman. So it's possible to go with your commentary that she was also tired of what was going on to her people too, because she was watching her people die also in equal. So maybe it was. So maybe they're not villains. Maybe neither of them are villains. Which, by the way, I have been looking for your commentary for years, because I think that Zimri and Cosby are such good names. Like, I think they're such good names for people, but I don't think anyone in the history of Judaism has ever used Cosby or Zimri because of this story, because you don't want to name your kid Cosby or Zimri or anything else. But with your commentary, we can make them righteous. So look at that, because it doesn't say that she was in the group that was sent in necessarily. It just says that she was a Midianite woman. So it's possible. Yes. Well, no, I think that the sex is in here because this was Balak's plan. So it goes back to last week's Torah portion. So this is all Balak's fault. Like, this is the brilliance of Balak, because if Balak hadn't thought of this at the end, then we wouldn't have this conversation now. But it's really because of Balak. So he kind of wins in the end. What we didn't get to, by the way, for your homework, is a ton. Because this is an incredibly fabulous Torah portion. In chapter 27 is your homework, by the way. Chapter 27 is an incredibly fabulous Torah portion. It is about the daughters of Tzolafchad, which are the five women who get to come in front of Moses, by the way. So this continues the thread, by the way, of the difficulty that Moses has to deal with. Because this is difficult for him too, because women have never come forward to say, and by the way, what's so nice about the daughters of Tzolafchad is when they come to Moses, they say, our father died, but not in any of these messes. So he wasn't with Korach, he wasn't with the people from the Balak, he didn't die in any of the mess, he just died of natural causes, so this is why we're owed the land. And so they come forward. So it does tie beautifully together, which is why it's such a great section. It's just chapter 27, so you have to read that. And then the back half of 27, by the way, is the beginning of the transition between Moses and Joshua. it's in this Torah portion, by the way, and maybe and it's towards the end of the Torah portion, that maybe Moses needed all of the mess for the last few weeks for him to realize, because it's him that says, okay, I'm done, in this week's Torah portion. He says, I got it, and now we have to find someone else, and God says, I know who that is, and it's Joshua. And then there's this great line, it says, which is fascinating, it says, Moses spoke to God. It doesn't say, Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe. It says, Moses talks to God in this week's Torah portion, which is, who has the gall to do that except for Moses? And then, and he says, because he says, that, but in the point, he says, I'm talking to you, God, but now you have to find someone else because it's not me. And so then God responds, I got him, it's Joshua, he's going to take over. And all this is all this in this Torah portion. It's so good. And all of that really, really good stuff is in 27. So you have to look at chapter 27. Yes? Really? Okay. It's not making her a hero, but it's definitely bringing a different light to the story to say that, and particularly if she was not in the group purposely sent in by Balak, and she was just simply a Midianite woman, and so then it takes some of the blame and the pressure off of both Cosby and Zimri. So, thank you, Women's Commentary, and thank you, Commentary by Neil. So now that's forever be known as the Commentary by Neil. Yeah. So yeah, Cantor Muchnick just thought of a great plan for you.
Start a YouTube channel, Commentary by Neil.
So good luck to everyone navigating in the world righteousness and justice, and where zealotry sits or doesn't sit. Very complicated. Yes. Who he is? He's a commentary rabbi, brilliant. It was required for us to schlep that book with us every single day of school, because we had to use different commentaries and different avenues, because he always had a different angle on everything. So, is he alive? I think he might be alive. That's a good question. I don't know. I bet Google has that answer, but I do not know. But he's that's why I got him when we started to do the different reviews on stuff. Or you always got to have Fox, because Fox is a fascinating guy. So, all right. Thank you for an excellent look at Pinchas. Such a good Torah portion. With the Torah still out, we think of those in our community who are in need of healing, a physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. If you are thinking of someone and you want to share their name, please share their name at this time. Let's start on Zoom.
Jacob, Jerry Cruz, Mark Horowitz, Roger Buford.
Sandy Tankus, all those affected by war, hate crimes, and violence.
Francie Freeman, David Freeman.
משבח אבותינו ואבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא ברך את החולים. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם ולפותם ולהפסיקם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתה בגלה בזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion, for their health to be restored and their strength be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. We are going to return the Torah to the Ark, 256, and together we stand.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, tehila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Eitz chaim hi lama chazikim ba, v'tomcheha meushar, diracheha darchei noam, v'chol netziyoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, Kadesh, Kadesh Yameinu, Kadesh Yameinu Kikedem.
Announcements. On the 12th, Cantor Mushnik will be doing our coffee and conversation, 11:30 on the 12th, I believe. What's that?
I think it's in the boardroom.
I think it's in the boardroom, yes. Mahjong is also continuing up in the boardroom on the 3rd floor. Rabbi Silvers, is he still on?
No.
No. So I think Rabbi Silvers he's teaching a class in the summer. So I think he's doing a lunch and learn in the summer. We'll get those dates for you. And there's a myriad of things coming at you too, all kinds of adult learning things and programs and all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, check the website for all those things. Lots of. Oh yeah, thank you. Chardonnay Shabbat is this coming Friday, a week from yesterday. There are already 70 people signed up for Chardonnay Shabbat. So come hang out. It's going to be great. We're going to do it outside. No, we're not. It's going to be inside. So yes, so we're going to do it inside. So now you know you should come. It's going to be inside. We're going to have, as you know, the heavy hors d'oeuvres after services. So join us. It'll be a lovely, lovely evening for Chardonnay Shabbat Friday. I think that's it for now, although there's a ton of things that are coming up. I will tell you, just so you know, in the background, looks like it's going to be set. We're going to have an Israel trip in June, and it is going to be an interfaith trip, us pairing up with Spanish River Church, our neighbors right next door, and we are going to be traveling with them and doing Jewish-Christian sites and going all around Israel and seeing Jewish Christian sites together. So for those who might be interested, it looks like it's going to be finalized very, very soon, and will be on our website and be all over the place with flyers and things. But it's going to be a June trip, and it's going to be a really, really fun trip with our neighbors next door. So that's coming up. Yes. Oh, and Susie is going to find you to make sure that if you want to sign up for honors during the Chagim, during the high holidays, she will find you and track you down. She has the magic sign-in board somewhere, and she will find you. She will find you. I think that's it for the announcements. All right. We continue with Aleinu 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad.
We transition our thoughts now to Kaddish Yatom, to Mourner's Kaddish. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently been taken from us, who died at this season in years past, and those who we have drawn into our hearts, Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing in the period of Shiva, the immediate 7-day mourning period. We think of Gary Allen Kane. In the period of Shloshim, the immediate 30-day mourning period, David Newmark, Isaac Rockwell Llewellyn, Janice Wendrow Cohen, Edward Hauber, Arthur Stricker. And yortzites that occur for us this week: Albert Sklar, Estelle Cooper, Alicia Soto, Herman Teicher, Tilly Gersten, Max Silverman, Harold Richmond, Trudy Berzon, Carol Paishos, Josephine Dreher, Esther Hoffman, Rose Kawa Stern, Albert Furing, Jeffrey Weiss, Gilbert J. German, Samuel Salem, Shulamit Salem, Ann Tanner, Edwin Lichtenfeld, Beatrice Poses, Gloria Werner, Betty Claire Wides. To those names, we had any name that you'd like to add. Kaddish Yatom 294. Yitgadal v'yikadash me'rabah ve'amad yivrach chiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam u'mei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'av v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitala shmei d'kudusha brichu Ne'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, dal niran ba'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rava min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say, amen. Please be seated. We conclude with...
We'll conclude with Adon Olam on page 321.
All right.
Adon Olam Hashem alach b'terem kol yitzi nivra halein nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei ככלות הכל לבדו, ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד, ואין שני להמשילו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וצור חפלי, בצרה, והוא ניסי, ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו, אבקיד רוחי בעת אישן, והעירה, ועם רוחי גבייתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדוני לי ולא אירא.
And God will give strength unto our people, continue to bless us with strength and hope and love and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Have a wonderful day. Join us for Oneg, as usual, in the North Social Hall.